Hey man, well, as promised, here's a little video in which I'm going to be discussing a few aspects about becoming a proficient lead player and a proficient musician in general. Well, as you know, us guitarists are prone and have the great tendency of trying to look for shapes, for patterns, for I don't know, predefined things which we tend to look for on a neck. This is the trend that the internet has been exposing us to, learning shapes in general, chord shapes, scale shapes, all this kind of stuff. Well, what I will try to do here is describe a little bit of a non-shape based approach. You learn the theory and the formulas which build a base of knowledge that you can affirm, that you know. You, for instance, know how to form a major chord or a minor chord, and you know how to harmonize a major scale and thus obtain minor and major chords, or at least this is a scenario, okay? And knowing these, you basically know what notes go where. If, for instance, you have a C major chord, you know that you can play the C major scale over it, and as a result, if you have a chord progression which was built using only chords built from the C major scale, you can deploy the C major scale over it. Okay? So let's take this scenario. We have a simple chord progression in the key of C major, which is C major, F major, and G major. Okay? So the 1, 4, 5 major progression. You can basically use the C major scale at your pleasure. Okay? So the idea here is not to start wandering up and down the scale. Try to come up with an idea using the notes in that scale. And basically, how you do this, you just start the backing track, and then before doing that, you get your ears acquainted with that tonality. And you do that by playing the scale either against a metronome or against the tap of your own foot, and going up and down in thirds, in sixths, in sevenths, or in fifths, using various intervals to go up and down that scale, because you want your ear to be acquainted to more intervals rather than just going from one note to the other. So this is one approach. Learn to go up and down the scale using intervals. Thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, and sevenths for starters. I have a lesson which deals with this sort of stuff, and I'm going to post it right underneath this video. But aside from that, these are actually exercises which will prepare your ears. Once you can do that, try and sing along with these intervals. Get your ears acquainted to the sound, and make sure that you can produce the sounds just by singing them with your voice. This is the best exercise. Have this in mind. Once you can sing something, it doesn't necessarily mean you can sing like, I don't know, Brendan Boyd from Incubus, or Chris Cornell, or I don't know, David Coverdale. Okay? All you have to do is be sure that you can emulate those sounds with your voice. That means that they're in your system. Then use those sounds to create little phrases of your own without thinking in shapes. Don't think of shapes at all. Just sing some notes which have a rhythmical coherence over that track, not even looking at your guitar. You'll see that if you get your ears acquainted to that tonality and to all sorts of exercises, phrases will come to your mind. You don't have any clue regarding where those phrases actually came from, but they're going to be in that tonality, and you'd better start using them and making them your main weapons rather than just going up and down scales like playing exercises, because Musicianship is about creating memorable phrases, themes, chord progressions, and all that kind of stuff, which will stick to the listener's ear. For instance, I'm going to pick up this acoustic guitar here. It's easier. Okay. And I don't know, I'm going to sing a little tune and then I'm going to find it on the guitar. Well, first let's take the C major. Okay, so we got C major chord. Okay, I'm going to take the simplest example possible. So, C major, right? Okay, so we established this little phrase in our heads. Okay, let's sing it again so that we make sure that we don't forget it. Okay? There it is! Oops. You can make it more guitar playing oriented just by adding this little intervention here. So, okay. C, D, E, D, C, B, A, B, C. Okay? There you go, you got a little phrase. You can use this sort of mentality over the whole chord progression. Just take little phrases and sing them in your head and then put them on the guitar. And what's more, you can then use your voice, if you're able to train your ear at such a level, to sing intervals over the theme that you play with your guitar and make things even more interesting. For instance, see, I'm playing from E, which is the major third of C. So, just playing intervals. See, two different lines over the same chord. Starting from E. So I'm playing a parallel line with our initial line using our major third. So C, the E note is the major third of C. Okay? Remember, we're in the key of C major, where this is a major third interval, right? C and E. See, you're already musical. You have created a little phrase which, if you, with the skills that you will gain by doing this more and more, you will create all sorts of melodic hooks that you will sprinkle all over your songs, and people will just listen to them, and at one point on the street while walking they're going to be they're going to say, where did I know that from? Ah, it's the little phrase that I've heard in my best friend's song. Presto, your goal has been reached, my friend. Your message has been transmitted, and you have managed to use a little guitar phrase to infiltrate the soul and the minds of your friends, and why not the listeners all over the internet, or in your audience at a stage, or anywhere. Hope I gave you some food for thought, and if you have questions, you know where to find me. Cheers, man.